I think it's important that Nick Clegg realises just the extent of the concern there is out in the community, or beginning to be in the community. I think many people are in a sort of false dawn. They think that somehow or other the cuts don't affect them particularly. But we haven't yet seen what's really going to be happening once they announce the at least 25% cuts in local government. And those are the services that are going to seriously impact on the most vulnerable, who had absolutely nothing to do with the bankers' bonanza. And they are now paying the price. There's a huge amount of evidence from the House of Commons Library, from the Institute of Fiscal Studies, that women, children and the disabled are the people who are paying the price of the cuts. They are taking the hit on 80% of the cuts from what we know so far. So we know that local government is going to face really horrendous decisions. And I think it's really important that Nick Clegg, living in his bubble in Downing Street, has some idea of what concerns there are out there, and to start to force him to think about what he's doing, what he's signing up to. He's enabling the Tories to get away with making this level of cuts to the welfare state, which we have never seen, even in my lifetime. So, you know, Mrs. Thatcher never implemented cuts on this scale. So, and the Lib Dems are giving cover to the Conservatives and making it look like that this is some sort of must-do. And I think there's huge concern that this level of cuts and the numbers of people that will lose their jobs, both in the public sector and in the private sector, will really push the country back into recession. And that is just means that it's going to be so much more difficult to recover. I think Ed Miliband is the leader we need to draw a line under the past, to clearly acknowledge some of the mistakes we made, which he said really clearly in his speech, and to start a new chapter, which is how we're going to realistically oppose those cuts that we think should not go ahead. We're not saying there shouldn't be any cuts. We, in our manifesto, said we were going to have to make some cuts, but we don't want them to be impacting on the most vulnerable people in this country. It's got the people who need to pay the most are the people who can afford to pay the most. We know that there could be much more money levied from the bankers. You know, they're going back into their old ways of paying themselves telephone sums of money. As Ed Miliband said, it is grotesque that a banker can earn as much in a day as a care worker can be earning in a year. That is not right. That is not right. And we need to be challenging that sort of behaviour, and that the implications of the way in which the Condems are going about these cuts. So I think that Ed Miliband I'm delighted at his leadership so far. I think he's been really clear on saying it's no use pretending that we didn't get things wrong. Of course we got things wrong. That's why the electorate kicked us out. So we need to reflect very deeply on what we got wrong and how we're going to take it forward. And I think he's absolutely the right man to do that.